Coffee Stain presents Sit, Sip, and Listen. And now our feature presentation of Jace, Terminal Protocol, written by Anthony James Owens. Chapter 1, Below the Eye. Northern Taiwan, 2:13 a.m. Abandoned Dominion Corps Research Lab, Region 7. The sky above Region 7 flickered with a pulse of cold static, throwing jagged shadows over the skeletons of fallen towers. The color of bruised steel bathed the ruins, giving the impression of a city trapped between life and ash. Below, Jace Stroud knelt at the edge of a crater, his black armor absorbing the chill like a second skin. He brushed away decades of grime from a half-buried alloy hatch, his fingers methodical, practiced. His visor tracked decayed thermal signatures, residual warmth embedded in the earth, long dormant but not forgotten. Ghosts, he thought, echoes in metal. Above him, the Dominion insignia loomed, half-rusted but unmistakable, a fractured silver triangle wrapped around an unblinking eye. Beneath it, the corroded slogan still clung to the archway like a dying oath, innovation through order. Jace muttered under his breath, "Lies don't die, they just get archived." A voice crackled through his earpiece, threaded with static and skepticism. "You seeing this, Jace?" "Reading you, Reuben. The hatch is real, exactly where they buried it." On the other end, Reuben exhaled. That site was wiped clean a decade ago. Not even Dominion's black site vaults logged this place. You're in ghost territory. "They didn't log it," Jace replied, producing a compact magnetic crank from his belt. "Because they never planned on coming back." The hatch groaned as the crank engaged, gears grinding with protest. Then it hissed open, splitting along a seam that hadn't seen daylight in years. A wave of cold antiseptic air spilled out, reeking of metal, ammonia, and time. Jace drew his sidearm and slid inside. The fall wasn't far, but the descent felt eternal. When his boots hit the floor, the silence pressed down like a vacuum. The corridor was narrow, sterile, Dominion steel reinforced with biometric cables long since dead. Yet the power here hadn't fully died. Lights flickered. Panels glowed with pulses too regular to be coincidence. Jace moved forward, quiet and fluid. His armor adjusted to his gait, absorbing noise. Dominion symbols still lined the walls, each one like a scar sealed into the infrastructure. Every footstep felt less like trespassing and more like walking into memory. At the first junction, he paused. Blood, dried and brittle, flaked across the floor. A handprint, small, desperate, smudged across the wall. Beneath it, scratched deep into the metal with something jagged. Run. He didn't. Instead, he reached the vault door. A biometric lock blinked weakly with Dominion red. Jace raised his wrist, firing off a low-frequency EMP. Sparks danced along the panel. The door wheezed, then parted. Inside, cold. Dozens of cryo tanks lined the chamber like coffins, each one humming with forgotten life. Frost spiderwebbed across the glass, and within floated nightmares. Humanoids distorted by machinery, by surgery, by ambition. Limbs in the wrong places, eyes sealed shut. Jace stopped at one tank. Hail, Vira, was written beneath the glass. His breath hitched. "She didn't run," he whispered, palm pressed to the glass. "They erased her." The lights dimmed. Behind him, slow, deliberate applause echoed through the chamber. Jace turned. Marius Trent stepped from the shadows, immaculate coat, polished shoes, and eyes glowing like coals. "Welcome home, Falcon Black," Marius said. Chapter 2, Echo Protocol, Dominion Corps Research Lab, Lower Chamber. Jace leveled his weapon, finger poised on the trigger. The tension in the room thickened like storm air, heavy and electric. Marius Trent stood beneath a flickering Dominion sigil, hands clasped casually behind his back. His eyes glowed faint red, artificial and unreadable. He wore command-like armor, cold, spotless, and practiced. "I always said you'd come back," Marius said, voice smooth as oil. "Curiosity was always your real mutation." "You lied," Jace said, tone flat. about Vyra, about Soul, about everything. Marius tilted his head slightly. I told the truth Dominion paid me to tell. Facts are currency. I deal in what keeps the lights on. Behind him, the cryo tanks hissed louder. Liquid began draining. Lights above the glass shifted from soft blue to ominous red. They're waking up, Jace muttered, jaw tightening. Good, Marius said with calm finality. You should meet your successors. He tapped a device on his wrist. One of the pods groaned and unlocked. Viscous cryo fluid poured out as the first figure stepped forward, taller than Jace by a head, plated in dark alloy. One of its arms ended in a folded blade the length of a forearm. Its breathing came in mechanical stutters from a visible synthetic lung. Two more emerged. The second was leaner, its face stretched into something almost serpentine. Neural filaments danced along the sides of its head like fine wires. Its fingers had no joints, just smooth arcs of motion. The third was monstrous, half its skull replaced with a multi-lens targeting array, its voice a low mechanical growl. Makes you nostalgic, doesn't it? Marius asked. Jace fired first. The plasma round punched the lead hybrid in the chest. It staggered but didn't fall. Instead, it rushed him. Jace ducked under its swing, pivoted, and jammed a shock spike into its thigh. Blue energy erupted across the hybrid's body, seizing its limbs before it dropped twitching to the floor. Another came from the left. Jace rolled, came up slashing with his plasma blade. The weapon cut through synth flesh and circuitry alike, dropping the second. The third pounced. Jace barely made it behind a terminal, bullets carving the steel near his head. Reuben, Jace snapped into his comm. EMP now. Crackling static, then Reuben's voice. Drone override in 10 seconds. Hold. Jace slapped a proximity charge against the console and dove backward. It detonated. White light and shrapnel engulfed the nearest hybrids. Two were blown into pieces mid-leap, shrieking as they died. When the smoke cleared, Marius was gone. Coward, Jace spat. No time to chase. He ran to Vyra's cryo tank. It remained sealed, frost encasing the glass like armor, but her vitals were still active. She's alive. He yanked the manual release. The fluid drained. Vyra slumped forward, unconscious, but breathing. Jace lifted her over his shoulder. Reuben, we're hot. Roof evac now. Copy that. Drone's descending. You've got 60 seconds. Jace sprinted to the lift. The hybrid still stirred behind him, wounded but not done. Sirens screamed. The chamber's temperature spiked. Dominion's failsafes were melting the lab from within. As the lift rose through smoke and fire, Jace looked down one last time. We're not ghosts anymore, he whispered. We're what comes for the living. Chapter 3. Extraction. Dominion airspace. Extraction drone. Crow 1. The drone's blades sliced through the cloud cover like scalpels, whispering violence against the silence of high altitude. Inside the narrow bay of Crow 1, Jace collapsed to the floor, breath ragged, armor singed and torn. Blood leaked steadily from a gash below his ribs, darkening the matte plating of his suit. Beside him lay Vyra Hale, pale, motionless, suspended between breath and memory. A faint rise and fall in her chest was the only sign that life still stirred within. Reuben turned from the cockpit. His voice, always dry, carried an edge of disbelief. You look like hell. Jace winced and nodded. Smells worse. Reuben's eyes drifted to the unconscious figure. Is that really her? She's alive, Jace said. They didn't kill her. They shelved her. Reuben frowned. Last I checked, Vyra Hale died in Seoul. That's what the files said. She was labeled a traitor too, Jace added bitterly. Dominion didn't just erase her. They reclassified her. Reuben crossed the bay and knelt, scanning her vitals with a portable reader. If they shelved her, it's possible she's not all there anymore. I don't think she ever left, Jace said, and reached into his utility pouch. He pulled out the encrypted drive he'd yanked from the Dominion mainframe. This was next to her cryopod, Project ÆON. Her name's all over it. Reuben plugged the drive into the drone's data core. The screen lit up, streaming code, lab reports, and internal memos. Subject: Hail, Vira. Status: suspended. Modifications: incomplete. Neural override pending. She wasn't finished, Jace murmured. They froze her before the programming took. Reuben nodded slowly. That means she might still be Vira. Before either could say more, the drone shuddered. Jace straightened, reaching for his sidearm. What was that? Reuben checked the flight console. Dominion signal just pinged us. Short burst, local transmission. Close, too close. What kind of signal? Reuben's expression darkened. Biometric tracer. We've been tagged. Jace's gaze flicked to Vira. She's the beacon. A warning light blinked red on the dash. Lock-on detected. ETA 0042. They're coming, Reuben growled. Not a gunship. Scout class. Fast. Surgical. Extraction or elimination. We won't outrun them? Not unless we drop her. And I'm not suggesting it. I'm telling you that's their move. Jace stood, body aching, jaw tight. Then we make our move first. He walked to Vira and knelt beside her again, placing a hand gently on her shoulder. Vira, if you're still in there, wake up. We're not leaving you behind. But if they get here before you open your eyes... He leaned closer, voice cold now. I burn everything. Her eyelids twitched, just once. Outside, the clouds peeled away as Crow 1 rose above the weather ceiling. Through the window, a streak of red light split the darkness. Another aircraft cutting toward them, fast. Contact in 15 seconds, Reuben said. Jace buckled in, hand on his holster. We hold the line, he said, whether she wakes up or not. Chapter 4, Breakpoint, Eastern Europe, unnamed safe house. 3 days later, the world outside was a frozen still life. Silent snow blanketed a nameless town, rooftops sagging under the weight of winter's hush. From the outside, the safe house looked abandoned, just another brick skeleton tucked between rusted rail lines and broken roads. Inside, the air buzzed with tension. Vira lay on a cot beside the single heating unit, wrapped in thermal blankets. Her skin had regained some color, but her vitals fluctuated like a shorting wire. Neurological activity lit the scanner in erratic bursts, highs, then crashes. Her body was alive. Her mind was at war. Jace sat beside her, one gloved hand resting on the cot's edge, the other near the grip of his sidearm. Habit, not intention. Reuben hovered nearby, studying a flickering tablet. She's caught between protocols. Dominion didn't finish the overwrite, but what they started goes deep. Jace leaned forward. Define deep. Identity deep, Reuben said. Not just commands, emotional dampeners, loyalty loops, maybe even core memories rerouted. Jace's brow darkened. Can you pull her back? Reuben sighed and looked up. This isn't like disarming a bomb. You're asking me to dismantle a belief system installed directly into her neural framework. She's not a machine. No, Reuben said, which is exactly what makes it harder. He paced for a moment, then stopped. There's one thing we haven't tried. Jace stood. What? A stim-triggered neural backflow. We flood her cortex with suppressed memories and hope her original personality reasserts dominance. Jace hesitated. What happens if it doesn't? She could crash, cognitively and emotionally, lose herself entirely. Or she wakes up. Jace looked down at Vira, her brow twitching, breath shallow. He nodded. Do it. Reuben prepped a neural stim injector, sterilized the port at her neck, and paused. This is going to hurt. He pressed the trigger. Vira's body jerked violently. Her back arched off the cot. Her eyes shot open, glowing faint amber for a second before flickering to a panicked gray. She gasped, clutching at the air as if drowning. No, I'm not her. Jace stepped forward. Vira, it's me. It's Jace. She recoiled, teeth clenched. They made me see you as the enemy. Made me feel nothing when you... when you were gone. You're safe now, Jace said softly. Whatever they did, it's over. But I need you to come back. Her head trembled. Flashes surged across her eyes, ghosts of missions, memories, names and faces twisted by command scripts. She screamed once, sharp and unfiltered. Then her hand grabbed Jace's wrist, tight. I remember, Soul, she rasped. I tried to stop them. I didn't defect. Marius, he used me, turned me into a prototype. Her body trembled. Her voice wavered, but her eyes, those sharpened. I'm not finished. Jace met her stare. No, he said. You're just getting started. Reuben stepped forward. If Dominion's monitoring neural wake signals, they'll know she's online. Then we hit back, Vera said, voice cracked but steady. Jace raised an eyebrow. You know where Marius is? No, she said. I know where he will be. Outside, the snow began to fall heavier. Inside, the war reignited. Chapter 5. Nexus. Iceland, former Dominion Nexus relay site. The mountains carved sharp silhouettes against the cloud-choked sky, jagged and black like broken teeth. Wind howled between frozen ridges, carrying the bite of volcanic ash and old snow. Buried beneath a glacial bluff, forgotten by maps and memory, stood the Dominion Nexus relay site, an exoskeletal structure of rusted steel and obsidian glass, embedded like a parasite in the mountain's flank. Jace Stroud stared at the compound's charred double doors, their once pristine silver now scorched with time and rebellion. You sure this is it? He asked, scanning the lifeless exterior. Vira stood beside him, her breath steaming. Her face was pale, but her voice was steady. This is where it began for me, where they rewrote my directives, twisted my memories. They didn't kill me, Jace. They deleted me, and wrote someone else in my place. Reuben crouched at the control panel embedded in a cracked wall slab. He connected a portable decryptor, fed it one of the Dominion passphrases they'd pulled from the Project ÆON drive. The device buzzed, then hissed. The doors opened. Inside, frost coated the floor like glass. The silence was unnatural, not peaceful, like a breath being held. Lights flickered dimly in the high ceiling, struggling to hold their place in time. Broken chairs, shattered biometric scanners, and abandoned data slates lay across the floor like relics from a forgotten experiment. Reuben scanned the area. There's still power somewhere. This place isn't offline, it's ghosting. Pulling juice from a buried line, maybe geothermal. Vira led them deeper. As they descended the lower levels, the walls narrowed, the lights grew redder, and the temperature dropped further. Dominion red, that hue of warning and control. The architecture changed too. More cables, more conduits, less utility, more ritual. Finally, at the bottom level, they found it. A chair. No, not a chair, a throne. Its arms were extended like restraints, fitted with neural jacks, syringe ports, and spinal uplink rods. The back was high, plated with circuitry that pulsed faintly. Around it, a dozen shattered cryotubes lay scattered, each one cracked from the inside out, as if something had fought its way free. Vira stopped cold. Her voice was a whisper. This is where they installed the override, where they stripped me down, memory by memory. That throne, that thing, is where they broke me. Jace stepped beside her and placed a hand on her shoulder. And now, it's where we break them. Reuben moved to the console attached to the throne. His fingers flew over the interface, lines of code unraveled like thread. Marius left something behind, a final node, last accessed 2 days ago. Jace's jaw tightened. He was here. The screen flashed, a new set of coordinates highlighted in Dominion yellow. Destination, Romania. Target, Project Anchor site. Status, active. Vira's eyes widened. Anchor. That was Dominion's reboot contingency, a full system recall. If he activates Anchor, he resets the entire network, all the programming, all the overrides, reinstated across the grid. Then we get there first, Jace said. We don't just stop it, Vira added. We erase it. Jace locked eyes with her, the old fire returning. Then let's end this. Chapter 6. The Anchor Site. Romania. Dominion Black Site Anchor Facility. The skies above the Carpathian Mountains churned like a boiling sea of electricity. Clouds twisted unnaturally, veins of red lightning flickering through the dark. Beneath them, the Dominion Anchor Site unfurled across the frozen valley like a parasite, its black, angular structures cutting into the earth like infected steel. The facility pulsed with light, alive in ways concrete shouldn't be. Inside the stealth drone slicing through the cloud bank, silence ruled. Jace tightened the strap on his shoulder rig. Vyra checked the charge levels on her pulse blade. Reuben finished syncing a local jammer node. Vyra broke the quiet. Anchor's not just a data hub, it's a personality override array, a master server for psychological conversion. Jace looked up. Templates? Dominion stored entire behavior profiles here. Operative molds, loyalty matrices, obedience architectures. They used this site to rewrite people, not just how they act, but who they are. Reuben paled. So, if Marius activates it? Vyra nodded grimly. Everyone they ever touched, sleeper agents, rogue cells, reconditioned prisoners, they all go back under. Jace clipped a demolition charge onto his belt. Then we make sure the reboot never happens. The drone opened. Wind screamed past them. 3 shadows dropped through the mist. They landed hard on the eastern sector rooftop. Boots cracked ice as they split up. Reuben made for the uplink tower. Vyra slipped east to sabotage the generator, and Jace dropped down through a ventilation shaft that led to the central spine. Inside, the structure was unnerving. The walls throbbed with circuitry veined in red and black. Data streamed in thick cables that pulsed like arteries. The Dominion's pulse. Screens flickered overhead, revealing surveillance footage. City intersections, military checkpoints, streets filled with dormant agents awaiting command. In the center of the atrium, a platform rose like a stage. And there stood Marius Trent, polished, still in his signature Dominion coat, his silver hair immaculate, eyes faintly glowing. A railgun hung casually at his side like a predator on a leash. "Falcon Black," he said, as if greeting an old friend. "Still trying to unplug a system you helped build." "I didn't build this," Jace said coldly. "I dismantled it." Marius stepped forward. "We offered peace, a world without war, chaos, or choice. You saw the future and turned away from it." "You offered submission," Jace replied, "and called it evolution." Marius tapped his wrist console. Alarms erupted. The red hue deepened. From the side corridors, Dominion enforcers emerged, half human, half machines, eyes blank and bodies twitching with implanted protocols. Jace opened fire. 2 went down fast, pulse rounds through the chest. A third charged. Jace met it with his blade, severing wires and spine. Overcoms, static buzzed. Reuben. Inside the uplink now. 10 seconds to shut down. Vyra. Generators toast. En route to main chamber. Marius raised his weapon and fired. Jace ducked behind a shattered console, sparks flying as railgun shrapnel sheared metal inches from his face. "Reuben," Jace barked, "shut it down!" Reuben's voice wavered. "Wait, I've got a new problem." A sound cut through the room like breaking glass. Vyra entered the chamber and froze. Across from her stood another Vyra, older, colder, her armor pristine, eyes devoid of recognition. Marius's voice rang out. "Project ÄON's final candidate. You thought you were special, Vyra? You were just a version." The copy charged. Jace shouted, "Vyra, don't hold back!" She didn't. Chapter 7. Mirror Fire. Dominion Anchor Facility, Nexus Core. Vyra's breath came sharp and fast. Her body moved on instinct, trained reflex, but the figure in front of her moved perfectly. Every strike she made was met with equal force. The clone, a manufactured echo of herself, anticipated her steps like choreography etched in her bones. But where Vyra fought with memory, scars, and choice, the copy struck with precision born from programming. No hesitation, no doubt. A mirror made for war. Jace strafed around the edge of the chamber, lining up shots. His pulse rifle barked once, clean hit to the clone's shoulder. Sparks exploded. The figure recoiled, metal bone exposed, and hissed. A feral sound that sent a chill up Vyra's spine. It was too human to be machine, too hollow to be real. Reuben's voice cracked through the comms. "Nexus firewalls resisting shutdown. I need time. 10 seconds, minimum." Vyra ducked beneath a spinning kick, twisting mid-air and landing low. The clone followed with a vertical strike, blade sizzling. Vyra blocked with her forearm guard, then drove a vicious elbow into its ribs. The clone staggered. Not much, but enough. She surged forward. Her boot cracked against its jaw, glass and circuitry spilling like blood. The clone's head snapped back, but it smiled. A twitching, stuttering grin full of false pride. "I am what you were supposed to be," it rasped. Vyra leveled her blade. "No. You're what I survived." She lunged, planting the blade dead center in its chest. It spasmed, flickered, then collapsed in a heap of broken code and twitching limbs. Smoke curled from its mouth as the light behind its eyes dimmed. Jace rushed in, scanning Vyra. "You good?" "No time," she said, catching her breath. "We need to help Reuben." They sprinted toward the uplink chamber. Inside, Reuben was crouched beside a cracked console, a manual interface pried open. Sparks danced across his gloves as he bypassed layers of Dominion encryption. "This place is alive," he growled. "It's not just resisting shutdown, it's learning from me." "Can we still kill it?" Jace asked. Reuben looked up. "Not digitally. We have to destroy the core, manually." Vyra's gaze snapped to a recessed panel across the chamber, marked with Dominion's tri-symbol, pulsing red. "There," she said. "That's the root. The mine. We fry that. It all goes dark." Together, they moved. 3 demolition charges, each laced with nanothermic compound, were placed around the panel's base. Reuben calibrated the timers. The floor trembled. Metal boots echoed through the corridors. Reinforcements. Dozens. Jace tossed Reuben a sidearm. "Just in case they get chatty?" Vyra stood beside him, back to back. Her blade pulsed in one hand, plasma pistol in the other. Jace readied his rifle, breath steady. Reuben armed the detonator. 0010, 00900008. "Run!" Reuben barked. They bolted. Flames chased their footsteps as they darted through collapsing corridors, dodging falling pipes and flickering lights. Dominion alarms screamed like dying gods. The AI's death throes echoed through the steel. The core erupted, blue-white light swallowing everything in a vacuum implosion. Then flame. Jace grabbed Vyra and dove through a side panel. Reuben dove after them. Then silence. Then collapse. Chapter 8. Echoes. Somewhere over the Baltic, en route. The drone hummed high above the icy waves, its sleek black form barely distinguishable against the bruised blue of pre-dawn. Thin clouds scraped its underbelly. Far below, the Baltic Sea churned like a restless memory. Inside, a dim orange glow from the emergency console lit the battered trio seated around the cramped cabin. Jace sat opposite Vyra and Reuben, one arm cradling his bruised side. Blood had dried along the edges of his armor, and his ribs ached with every breath. Across from him, Vyra leaned forward, elbows on knees, her hands still trembling faintly from the overload surge. Her face was pale, eyes distant, but alive. Reuben nursed a cracked datapad in his lap, his coat torn, face streaked with ash and sweat. But they were all alive. The Dominion anchor site was gone, vaporized, reduced to melted metal and scorched earth. Reuben broke the silence first. His voice was raw. "We got out with minutes to spare." Vyra exhaled. "Seconds. If you'd hesitated back there..." Jace raised a hand. "Doesn't matter now. We finished it, burned the reset. Reuben tapped the cracked drive he'd salvaged from the uplink chamber against the edge of the console. Not entirely. There are still echoes out there. Dead sites, rogue code, sleeper units Dominion tucked away for insurance. Vyra leaned back, gaze drifting toward the drone's window. And Marius? Jace stared out at the gray sky. Buried. That chamber collapsed. If he crawled out, it wasn't whole. And if it was? Reuben asked. Jace didn't blink. Then we break him again, no hesitation. Silence followed. Not the fearful kind, but the kind that settles in after fire, after explosions and truth. A stillness earned by survival. Vyra finally looked at Jace. You pulled me back. He met her eyes. You never left. I did, she whispered. I just didn't realize it. Jace nodded. But you remembered. You fought your way through it. That's what makes you you. Reuben sighed, smiling bitterly. No medals, no parades, just another ghost op from a war the world doesn't even know was real. Jace looked between them. We don't need recognition. We need truth. If Dominion could rewrite people, we write them back. That's our mission now. Vyra tilted her head. You're talking about going public. Not yet, Jace said. Not until we've cleared the echoes, the labs, the codes, the sleepers. Burn every last trace. Reuben straightened. You think there are more like her out there? Jace opened the drone's holographic map. A faint beacon pulsed near Finland. We got a ping, another relay, faint Dominion residue. Could be a sleeper, could be worse. Vyra holstered her blade. Then we start there. Reuben clicked into the drone's controls. Let's fly. The drone tilted, slicing through the clouds like a scalpel through scar tissue, turning toward the north. Below them, the world slept. Above it, the last war hadn't ended. It had just gone quiet. But now, a reckoning moved through the silence, and it had names. End. You have been listening to Jace, Terminal Protocol. Stay tuned for more stories, books, ebooks, and audiobook releases. Thank you.